instead of going and chasing the low-priced market for us, we did just the opposite. We continued to migrate first our experience upward and elevate in every way, because we knew without doing that, we had no right or ability to continue to migrate our pricing.
How do you make a change? How do you adopt? Today's episode is from the master of change, Jeff, who will teach us how big guys are doing it the right way. It's easy, maybe it's easy to make a change when you have one studio. It gets challenging when you get 10. But how do you do it when you have 35,000 employees, 180 locations, and 1.5 million members? My name is Andre, and I'm your host of today's episode of Top Rated Gym Podcast. I'm thrilled to introduce Jeff Zwiefel, an industry veteran with over 2 decades of experience in transforming gyms into thriving health and wellness destinations. As a former COO and president of Lifetime, Jeff was leading firsthand the evolution of the fitness industry, particularly in how gyms are shifting from basic workout spaces into comprehensive lifestyle centers. Today, we'll deep dive into Jeff's journey from evolution from gym to healthy way of life destination. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm truly honored to be on the Top Rated podcast, and it's wonderful to be with you.
Jeff, my God, every time I talk to you, you're a true inspiration.
Thank you.
And I would love audience, everybody to hear from you about what it means for you scaling with purpose, what it means disrupting innovation, how it's done in such a business. How did you guys perform? I want to know it all. Good, bad, ugly.
I appreciate that, and I'd love to get into it. And I think a little context about me is beneficial or helpful to, set the stage. For the past 4 decades, I've now been immersed in the world of fitness, wellness, and transformational health. And I don't know if you know it about me, but I'm a classically trained exercise physiologist. I began my career working with high school, college, and professional athletes as a strength conditioning coach. I started as a trainer. I've done cardiac rehab, orthopedic rehab, prenatal, postpartum, senior programming in a hospital-based fitness environment, and spent a decade with Nordic Track, where I wore many hats, ranging from conducting VO2 max tests and EMG testing to serving as vice president of product development. So I've done a lot of different things there, but most of my professional journey, Andre, has been with Lifetime, as we said, as president and COO, and helping transform from a regional gym operator to a national healthy way of life brand. And I'm grateful to Brahm Akrati, our founder, chairman, and CEO, for bringing me into the fold 25 years ago. And together we've built something really special and remarkable that we're super proud of. And so I think the evolution for me started in 1999 when our monthly dues in the first club we opened outside of Minnesota was in Troy, Michigan, at $49 a month. And we had, and Brahm started the company breaking all the rules, and folks bet on him being bankrupt within 6 months, and that the rules included things like no contracts, free lockers, free towels, free childcare. And today, on average, our dues exceed over $200, and members gladly pay it because, we're not just selling access in a transactional way, we're delivering transformation. As you said, 180 iconic locations, 1.5 million access members, 17 million square feet of premium real estate, another 2 million digital subscribers, right, that engage with content and training and lifestyle tools beyond our walls. And, we're able to service over 112 million swipes annually. You know, our swipes, and one of the parts of this transformation have been, in 2019, our swipes per membership averaged about 108 per month. Today, those are well over 140 swipes per month. So again, a much more engaged customer that ultimately allows us to bring the annualized member retention down near, for the first time ever, in the low 20s, in the low 20%. You think about some of the massive inflection points that most of us experienced in this industry, starting with 2008, 2009 recession, where our annualized attrition, by contrast, was somewhere in the high 40%, right? And instead of going and chasing the low-priced market for us, we did just the opposite. We continued to migrate first our experience upward and elevate it in every way, because we knew without doing that, we had no right or ability to continue to migrate our pricing north and further north and further north. So, you know, we started to focus on a couple different things at that time, Andre. One was going from this simple principle of ordinary to extraordinary and creating memorable experiences. We went from thinking about conveniently having all these great amenities under one roof at a great value of $49 a month, to making sure that we had the best people, the best places, and the best programs. Those 3 Ps. You know, another inflection point was around that 2013 to 15 time frame, where we started to see the boutiques and the studios, from Soul to, you know, Orange Theory to Core Power and everyone else, circle the big battleship of Lifetime clubs and begin to peel off our most valuable customer. And each one of those boutiques and studios probably made up, in our composition of our membership structure, somewhere between 300 and 500 of the best member. And we recognized early on that we needed to double down on the programming experience. We needed to make sure it just wasn't available, and that we were, you know, offering those kinds of services in Group X and in PT and in Pilates and yoga and cycle, as an example. They needed to be best in class. Our commitment at that time, I initiated a programming revolution in 2014 and 15 that basically rethought everything we did within the programming of our clubs. And the commitment that we made is that they had to be so good that they could potentially become standalone businesses and brands outside the 4 walls of Lifetime. So we rethought everything from the casting of the talent that we brought in, the compensation structure of those performers, as we call them, the program formats from end to end, the music, the technology, the physical plant and layout, all got restructured at that time. All from what was undeniably our company's focus from the onset, is what we call MPV, member point of view, to build lifetime value, loyalty, and create a lifestyle destination, not just a gym or a fitness club.
I gotta say something here. It's not agile like everybody's recommending. Go a little changes over time, make him so you can consistently innovate. You guys went a radical way.
Yeah.
Like let's go from the ground up. Let's innovate and that is hard to do it in SOPs, hard to do it across all locations. It's almost like you gotta rewrite everything for just that small department that's still attached to this same organization.
Yeah.
But somehow you have to have different rules because you're setting up a new standard.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you are indicating, it is very challenging because we talk a lot about operating like a franchisee, franchisor, but we're obviously all company-owned locations as Lifetime. We've been public and private twice in my 25 years now, and those are another part of our journey we can touch on. But, you know, it's this micro to macro kind of concept. You know, we had an R&D center that is located right by our corporate office that we used for exactly that: testing, piloting, validating concepts, making mistakes, failing fast, and pivoting and adjusting before we tried to go to macro level across the whole enterprise, right? Because it was really crucial to our success that we proved the concepts and made sure that they work. I think, you know, needless to say, our relentless focus on never believing that it was good enough was something that's always fueled the company's motivation to always be innovative. You know as well as I do, your listeners know that the health and fitness industry is rapidly, constantly evolving and changing. And as we've always known, if you're not keeping up and staying ahead of it, you will be dead and obsolete. And so what we started to see in that 2013 to 15 timeframe, the pressure in the mid-price multi-purpose gyms from the high volume, low priced, and the distinguishing of the luxury, and everything in between, like so many of the other consumer good categories, getting crucified, just killed, because there wasn't a clear enough value proposition that was distinct between the two ends of the continuum, Andre. So that was one of the initiatives where we just simply pinned our ears back and doubled down and bet on ourselves again on making sure that everything we did there was a distinct value proposition for our customers. And again, that these, you know, with 30 to 50% of our customers using Group X, for example, that were engaged in Group X, inclusive of course in our membership pricing, those had to be amazing attractions and retention tools for our model to be successful. And for us to bring down that high water mark of 2008, 2009 annualized attrition of the high 40s, and historically where we sat in the mid 30% annualized, with no contract. Again, Andre, again, apples and oranges here. A lot of people talk about annual attrition rates, but most of them at least have the first year as a contractual agreement. And we've always done a month, and because we believe that our commitment is delivering the experience.
It's like, I want you to buy my gym every month based on the previous month experience.
And when Brahm started the company, the founding belief was to create a place where people wanted to be, not they had to be. Yeah. Simple philosophy, but thinking about all the six senses, Andre.
Yes.
And the club operators and what we teach our general managers and our lead generals is, are they thinking about sight and smell and taste and what they hear, you know, and what they touch? And most importantly, I would say, is the sixth sense of energy. Yes. Because as you know, you can walk into a club and know whether it has the sixth sense of energy, because the energy is what creates the club as a club, the community, the tribe, the connection between the members and the team members.
I always say to the people designing any kind of structure process or even layout is not about how it looks. It's not about even how it works. It's how it makes people feel.
Yes.
What's the outcome, emotion they have when they get out?
Yes.
And everything matters from
the small details.
Scripting the what people say when they get in to how they approach the car when they walk out.
Yes.
The experience starts before they even enter the building. It's all around it.
It is.
When they look at online about you, and it's all about feeling. I have a burning question.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys said you have that experimentation lab, a location where you experiment with a lot of things before you roll it out. But how do you first choose what to experiment?
Yeah.
And second, how do you know when to kill it or roll it out?
That was a great question, right? And I'll be the first to tell you that a lot of things have come into the R&D funnel that
A lot more.
were terrible, misconstrued thoughts, right? And like we've said, it's so valuable to have an environment, a real life playground. We built that club across from our corporate HQ in 2005, and I actually spent part of my tenure at Lifetime general managing that club before I stepped into the president and COO role, because my founder and I both realized that I didn't care what my background was. I needed to run one of these beasts to know what it felt like. I kept my day job at the corporate office, dialed it up to 16-hour days, and planted myself in the club. And I knew the team and the members were going to first assess my time in and my time out of the seat, and was it real? But I wanted to run that R&D center and understand from end to end how we were going to your point, bring.
I want to feel the pain of
I want
running.
to feel the pain. I want to feel the lost and found. I want to feel the time robbers of the general manager, so I can understand what sort of highly effective schedule we could establish for them and hold them accountable to. Because we, on one hand, know that our clubs are most successful when I come into a club and ask the members, do you know who your general manager is, right? That is the mayor. And if they're spending all their time, as we know, in the back room, in their office doing administrative work, they're not serving the constituencies that are most important to us best. By being the front line, being connected to them, being engaged, understanding and feeling the programming themselves, experiencing what the wait line is like at our bistro, understanding what it's like with the swim lessons, right? Knowing what it's like in pickleball and our tennis experience, so on and so forth. Checking the juniors in to our kids' academy and feeling what that experience is like. There's no replacing that, right? So I did that. And to answer your question, obviously we would look at the market trends. We would look at and continue to study on a monthly basis by club level nationally and by programming our member net promoter score, NPS. And the net promoter score kept our finger on the pulse. What was working, what wasn't working, and what were we going to do about it? So that led us to the most significant problem solving and anticipating where we had breakage in the customer journey and the customer experience and the customer value proposition. Where were the most significant pain points? And so that included many times very mundane operational things, right? That were important though, right? But at the same time, included the glamorous and sexy things that might be an entirely new program that we would bring in and launch, right? That would serve to create a buzz and excitement. Because as you know, in this business, we started a Lifetime University a very long time ago in the company. I used to run the Lifetime University, which is our internal, in-house training and development and certification arm. Because our commitment was twofold, Andre. One, that we could never hold somebody accountable to expectations and standards that we had as an enterprise if we weren't clear that we knew that they knew the standard. That we had trained them exhaustively to the standard and requirements, both with shadowing existing team member and then flipping the script and our existing team member shadowing the new team member so that we know they know. And then the second philosophy that we had within Lifetime University is to make each team member more valuable than they are today by investing in care and certification of them. We didn't do training, very important semantics. We did certification. Training is going through the motions. Certification is making sure you achieve the desired outcome.
Yeah.
That everyone knows the standard. So, and that is how I would say we've been able to achieve the consistent, because we say, as you know, what makes a great brand? Consistency. Yes. That might be McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, and your customers know that standard. It might be Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton, and I know that standard of expectation. But when you go into Scottsdale, Arizona club, or when you go to Westchester, New York, that very consistent branded Lifetime experience will be executed each and every time from end to end. One of our investors, the first time we went public, Andre, asked us a question, what's the one or three things that you do that are making you successful? And Brahma and I were like, well, if it was that easy, any monkey would do it. It's hundreds of things, right? As you opened up with. And that's what creates the deep and wide moat of creating a high barrier to entry in this industry that's a low barrier to entry category. A high barrier to entry in a low barrier to entry category, right? Who doesn't wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to open a gym. I want to open a studio because I love working out.
That's right.
Well, when you think about the operational complexities of the capital intensive nature of our business, every year we have $800 million of new club growth that fuels the 10 or 12, 8 to 12 new clubs. Each of these clubs are 60, 70, $200 million assets. So they're not small clubs. They're 100 to 200,000 square feet clubs. Like I said, we see 100. They'll see 100,000 swipes a month on average in those clubs. So they're little cities. And then you think about the gestation period from the time you get the permitting and the entitlement with the city to the time the shovel's in the ground, to the time you pre-sale that club, to the time you ramp it to a profitable EBITDA, right?
Yeah.
And that is a difficult burn rate for most. Then you add on top of that the layers of complexity of the model. The operational complexity. In that club, we've got a kids academy, not a childcare. So Spanish immersions, gymnastics, parents' night out, right? We've got swim lessons. That's a $50 million business for us, aquatics. We've got our tennis business and our pickleball business. We got our Life Cafe that's about $130, $140 million revenue business. Our Life Spa, which is $140 million annualized top line business. We got our personal training business, about a $350 to $400 million top line business for us right now. So the complexities of those ancillary and in-center businesses, really add to that defensive strategy as well as the offense, as you can appreciate.
No, incredible. I gotta give you two thoughts on this one. First one, my mind is going back to how proximity between your corporate and a location is very important. People don't understand that. Elon Musk did the same thing. He put designers of the car in the factory building.
Yeah.
So when somebody on the floor screaming, I have a problem, this thing doesn't go fly, they can see the designer up there and they can see each other. So because iteration of the speed of the change is rapid, because you go from one job into another city and you make a change and you go back tomorrow to implement it. Yeah. Otherwise, it would never be done. Otherwise, you guys will. I think this
red tape, bureaucracy, red tape and bureaucracy.
You can have that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I remember reading a book of Elon Musk. He bought a company for solar panels, and it was a problem after the problem after the problem. It was going to bankruptcy. He went to the roof, talked to the installers, like, why take so long to install the roof? Right? Because these things are complicated, parts are everywhere.
Right.
So he went to engineer, designer, says, okay, tell me about why do we have 42 parts to put a panel on the roof? Like, well, we have to have that safety standards. Like, yeah, have you installed those on the roof yourself?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not my job.
Yep.
right? You can't say that unless you are involved. And what you're saying, you're literally acting as a role, like I'm doing it, I'm
Right.
feeling it, I'm experiencing it, and I have a capacity and power to change it.
Yeah,
And I'm doing it.
how can you be respected if you don't? Candidly, right? How can you ask fundamentally anybody to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself first, right? I think it's the one of the most powerful elements of principle-based leadership, right?
Yes.
You know, so we did a bunch of different things post-COVID that I can talk about as well that you're getting into, which is we migrated the power from the corporate HQ to the clubs. The decision-making authority moved from HQ being the boss and deciding with, and eliminating layers of decision-making and deciding that there was only going to be 2 layers with any decision to be made in the company. So, I started to move with a very simple idea as we tested things with our field leadership that was deeply powerful. And it was a question that I borrowed from the British Olympic rowing team a long time ago when they had a really horrific record and disappointing finishes. And it was this simple question and profound question: will this make the boat go faster? And this phrase became our guiding principle to remove distractions, simplify the focus, and only do the things that result in improved performance. Was I going to go have that beer tonight with my buddies? Would it make the boat go faster? Was I going to eat that donut? Will it make the boat go faster? And adopting the operational mantra, did it help serve our members better? Did it help? And if not, we cut it. And, those simple things, by moving that decision-making to the clubs, because as you know, they're in it firsthand. They're feeling it. They're experiencing it every day. And as you know, many times they don't feel empowered to be able to talk.
I'll give you examples. Toyota Way, all decisions about improving production time, even saving seconds in a moving car faster to the factory, is done by people on the line. Steve Jobs, when he came back to Apple after being fired, he immediately sit in front of the board. It was like, okay, our equity stock options are horrible. People have stock options that are more priced than currently stock, and it doesn't work. We're losing A players. I need immediately to change that, to refactor stock options to be cheaper than current stock. And the board came in and says, we got to talk about that. We'll put that on a pinpoint.
Right.
He blew up, immediately says, I need to make 100 decisions a day, and if you're going to put on a board every decisions, I don't need this board.
It doesn't work.
Because this communication overhead, people think it's a minor, it's a major problem. Decisions have to be made fast and implemented, tested.
Yeah.
And you move next one. Like you said, there's no 3 things that makes me successful. It's 100 things.
Yeah.
Probably 1,000.
And that mantra that we adopted early on was think big, start small, move fast. Think big, have a clear vision of where you're going to go. Start small, start moving today and get going, move fast, and the flywheel begins to spin, and so, like post-COVID was, the most difficult time I've ever been through in my life, right, Andre? We went from 475 million of adjusted EBITDA in 2019 to March of 2020, shutting down 165 clubs at the time. And shutting many of them down multiple different times, migrating 36 different state requirements of the COVID protocols, developing a 400-page manual that became coveted by the state health departments as operating protocol, being held in a 200,000 square foot club to the same standard as a 25 or 30,000 square foot club in terms of spacing, right? Yeah. And ridiculousness. And so our culture has always been a performance-based culture. We had to put on the shelf looking at EBITDA entirely because we knew if we didn't bring back three key elements of our business, SSR, subscriptions, swipes, and revenue, we had no chance in hell in surviving. We focused on offense alone. Everybody else was playing defense, cutting costs, shutting down different parts of their amenities. We opened everything. We ran it hard. We opened it all up to bring customers back and drive SSR. And about a year later, we started awakening to contribution margin, EBITDA, and net income. But not until we started to bring back the funnel of life.
And you faced the challenge. You went straight on. Like, okay, let's. We're not dying. We are thriving. At the beginning of today's show, you said something that really sparked it. And you said, while everybody is trying to take our market and competition is trying to lower the prices, we went opposite. We went increase the experience, increase the value, and raise the prices.
Yeah.
And that reminded me on the Steve Wynn of Wynn Hotels in Las Vegas. The guy is now 81 years old, went through pretty much every recession with that in the last 16 years as a business owner. And the last one, when it happens, Las Vegas was dying, 2008 and 9. Yeah. And everybody was scared, flooding Vegas. Employees are scared, like morale went to the down. And all what he did, he went and bought cars for every manager, brand new for everybody. It was like, don't worry, we got this.
Yeah.
And then he went to high rollers, people who don't care about recession. He went up the market and dominated the industry.
Right.
Las Vegas.
Right. And he created and reestablished what Vegas was relative to entertainment. Because we saw in this evolution of going from a gym or a health club, Andre, to a healthy way of life, athletic resort, and country club destination, early on that people wanted to buy experiences. They didn't want to buy things. They valued experiences more than anything in life. And so how could we hone in on that by serving people from 90 days old to 90 years old along that entire continuum? And so that was the start of the really rapid transformation decades ago. You know, probably 15, 20 years ago, we began to drop intentionally the name fitness from our brand. It cost us millions to strip that out in our infrastructure everywhere. Our email addresses, everything was changed to Lifetime, the Healthy Way of Life company, not Lifetime Fitness, because we did not want to be associated to the 2-4s, the Planet Fitness. Not that they're bad. They've got great models. It's just that ours was intentionally, strategically, and visionary different, charting a very different, holistic, broader concept and approach that was hopefully appealing to people with athletic, with sports, with social, with aging, with education, with entertainment, the whole quadre. So you think about that.
Yeah, and you guys don't even stop there. You consistently keep innovating. You keep adding transformations. And what I'm impressed incredibly about it, you know, when you say, okay, you guys faced a challenge, and somebody listening is like, yeah, easy for them. They have capacity of 30,000 people in the company who can do things. But I would say that this 30,000 lines of communication and creates incredible overhead. That's complexity, not benefit.
Yes.
These are the people who have to be moved, not the people who are moving forward.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's and that's where I'm impressed by, like how you guys, the leadership, can communicate and align people so everybody pulls in the direction that you create.
Yeah. And
so they buy into the new process, new idea, new service.
Yes. So crucial. Crucial. You speak of that term, you said it, alignment. And alignment of an organization that is as large as ours, 2.4 billion in revenue now, and more like 40,000 plus team members now. But during COVID, as a case in point, we had to furlough 30,000 so employees. So I kicked off, like I was saying, the company has always been a hard-charging, performance-based culture. But I also kicked off what I called operations from the heart. This was empowerment, passion, integrity. We didn't crumble at that time. We recalibrated and redesigned.
United.
We established these very clear 9 leadership traits: courage, thrust, benevolence, communication, along with passion, integrity, and thrust. These things allowed us, to your point, to engage the head and the hearts of our team members and align with them on the why we're doing what we're doing. To serve our members, to provide them with a platform to, have a life and succession. These were all really important things at the time. Because trust was difficult at the time. Every week I was doing this kind of podcast thing, webinar, communication to our 30,000 team members to reinforce that we were going to get to the other side and we were going to be successful, even though many times we didn't know if we were going to. Brahm and I and the other executives stopped taking paychecks, right? And we just went on an all-out blitz of figuring out how we were going to make it happen. So it's been an absolute amazing journey from going from this ordinary to extraordinary, creating this concept, as we say, of desirability. Does the customer see desirability in that? And then, just continuing to be, just maniacal. As you said, Brahm and I, when we walk into the clubs, we start picking up if there's garbage when we get out of our car in the curb cut. And so there's thousands of touch points in our club, starting at our front desk.
But one is enough to make bad experience.
Exactly. And every one of those, and we say, instead of complicating necessarily, what we love about NPS is the elegance of simplicity of the 0 to 10 scale of Fred Reichelt. But we say every one of those touch points either created a -1, a 0, neutral, or a +1.
That's right.
And we need to put +1s every time if we're going to create raving fans.
Beautiful explanation of what the brand is by Steve Jobs. He said it so nicely, so simplistically. He said, see, brand is like a bank account.
Yeah.
Every time you experience with the brand, you either deposit
Or withdraw. Yep.
And the more time you deposit, the better and bigger the brand is.
Yeah. Yep.
People don't understand that CSAT and NPS score. They think, oh, I'm 95% good.
Yeah.
And maybe it sounds good,
Yeah.
95%. But they don't understand that that 5% of bad is
Yeah.
100% of their problems in the business.
Yeah. And to your point, we were just crazed about digging into the why. What if we're getting a 0, 1 to 3, or a detractor goes up to 6, right? That's a tough scale. Your detractor all the way from 0 to 6, we're going to understand the basis for that, where those breakpoints are in our operational process, and work tirelessly to figure out how to fix those and address those and change those. Because if they're happening in the R&D center, they're probably happening everywhere else across our platform.
And I'll tell you one more thing. Knowing the reputation space, because I live there, is one spoken feedback represent 20 to 200 unspoken.
Yes.
Then people don't understand when it's really bad, it reaches a Google review.
Yes.
So my statistics is that when you have people so upset, they go on Google reviews so they can tell everybody else about that. But it takes 80 5-star reviews to eliminate bad effect of one star review.
Right.
But in order to generate 80, you need times 200. So you're talking about thousands of members have to go to your gym to make up for one bad experience
Right.
in the public eyes.
Right. And that's,
So we
and
can't
that,
allow that to happen.
yeah, and that's one of the things that we were really committed and passionate about since the start of the company was to protect the mothership brand.
Yeah.
The brand was everything, and that, hey, you got to worry about a lot of other things, but anything that was going to be a detractor of the brand, that was a deal breaker, and so, for example, probably 7, 8, 10 years ago, you hear this click to cancel thing right now that's come up through HFA and other things.
Mandating as a requirement.
So we did a month-to-month cancellation, but one of the points of friction with 30 to 40%, sometimes higher in our mature markets, of our new member adds in mature markets were former members, right? Mm-hmm. So when they canceled on the 2nd or the 1st or the 3rd of the month, they would have to pay that stub period of that entire month and the next month. That was a lot of revenue for us, but it was a pain point for our customer. We changed it to rolling 30. Rolling 30. It was better for the customer. Yeah. We used to make it hard for them to cancel. Come in with a certified letter, stuff like that. They can cancel on email now. You have to continue to evolve with the customer expectations on. And one of the things that we learned was we had to continue to invest even before COVID. And of course, COVID required a very rapid adaptation for us in our omni ecosystem. Our physical plant was far superior experience to our digital and virtual experience prior to COVID. And it remained that way for a while. We had underinvested so significantly in our digital and virtual experience to make it on par with our physical experience. We had to over-invest there for a decade to catch back up with the pain that we created. And, now it's in an amazing spot.
It's incredible because you got to balance always between opening new location, new studios, investing into infrastructure, and amplifying existing experience.
Yes.
Because that's like built to last. Yes. I want to invest in the future. Yes. We got to consistently innovate. Yes. And talking about innovation, you speak about experience first, right? From gyms to luxury, athletic, country club resort. Yeah. Like a luxury brand without having to pay luxury price.
Yeah.
And that makes people really feel like, oh my God, this is not a gym, this is my escape.
Becomes their country club. It comes their country club, but less expensive and more value. Exactly. It's their escape because they'll spend a couple hours on the pool deck. They'll spend an hour in the spa. They'll spend a couple hours working out while their children in our academy or our parents' night out, right? It becomes that destination and that one-stop shop solution that addresses the health and fitness needs of the entire family, and so that is the differentiator, but it has also provided us this platform and the right, and I would say responsibility, Andre, for us to also to extend into things like our nutritional supplement line. I started in year 2000, our Miura longevity and performance and anti-aging business. The right and the opportunity and the responsibility for us to extend in the broader segment. Because when you think about the size, of the health club market, it's so small relative to the size of the overall wellness and healthy living, healthy aging market.
Question for you. You've been in industry for your whole life, last 4 decades from different angles. You know where the pack was.
Yes.
Let's talk where the pack is.
Yeah.
Like what do you see as the next 10 years?
Well,
right?
I'll start with one example that we evolved to rapidly post-COVID because we could. We were unhinged from all the chains and, you think about the analogy of the elephant with the string tied around its leg to the tree. And it's a chain and then it becomes a string, and the elephant doesn't even know that they could break away, right?
Conditioning.
Same thing with companies many times. COVID allowed us to break from a lot of that. And that was the blessing of it. For example, we spent about $28 million annually on sales commissions. Yet, through the years leading up to COVID, over 70+% of our new member ads were joining online, digitally, right? And then they became a Disneyland tour to close the sale and take credit for the commission. We took two departments, our offense, which is what's called our membership advisors, our sales team, our hunters, if you will, and our farmers, our member concierge team, and we merged those two departments in our clubs and became concierge. 4 or 5-star resort, not a car sales environment that historically this business has been, selling hard, closing. And instead of creating a buying experience versus a selling experience, and eliminating all that BS of fighting over commissions and the credit and all that stuff. So I think the industry, to your point, is evolving to, you're seeing it now in the HVLPs, right? The 2.0, 3.0. They're adding dimensions of wellness and recovery. They're adding different dimensions responding to the growth in the resistance and strength training market, because we're seeing the massive growth, of course, coming from the influencers, coming from women, coming from longevity and anti-aging, coming from the GLP-1 market. These are all dynamics. If the market's not responding to, again, and innovating and figuring out how to optimize and leverage incremental revenue streams, they're just not working as aggressively as they can and should be. And they're standing stagnant, and they're going to get left in the dust.
Yeah. Because it's hardest to get a client in. Once you get it, you got to trust to the brand, trust to the relationship. You have their time with them. And there's a need. First of all, me comparing myself with my parents, it's not same a source of education. Right? My nutrition is totally different than my parents. My workouts, my lifestyle, everything is different.
Yes.
And I'm raised by a great family.
Yes.
That I agree with the moral principles, but they were missing education.
Yes.
That I have access to it now.
Yes.
And everything that's coming with them, because you don't go to place of wellness, fitness, and experience just to work out. You go for outcome, feeling, results. And the results are not something looking at today's, looking at 5 years from now, 10 years from now, how long I'm going to live healthier. What's going to help in that sense?
Yeah.
And people are now much smarter. So think about that when you're adding services as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right? You think about more of a holistic experience, and that's not easy for a smaller format, studios, boutiques, or gyms to think about necessarily, because they can't have amenities that are that broad. But everybody's throwing around, of course, AI and personalization, but nobody's really figuring out what they're actually operating differently, right? Lifetime has been on the forefront now, and we've been investing in Lacey, which is our version of your AI companion that will ultimately get to know who you are at a member at such an intricate level and be able to provide you with the guidance and the journey that I think will be unmatched in time, right? By using our internal information, our knowledge about purchasing behaviors, and then connect that to the knowledge of everything they're doing outside of the club.
It's like a personal agent.
Yes.
Yeah. AI, people think it's all about learning about that business particular. It's not.
Yeah.
It's about giving business ability to customize communication that fits the journey of the person that is talking to.
Yeah.
And businesses don't even collect enough information, not even to think about. Even if they want to make what you're doing, Lacey.
Yeah. And there's no question that, it all goes back to, I agree that there's a fine balance. Just like I said, there's a balance between a performance-based culture and a culture of care. For the customer, sure, I agree many times the customer's not going to provide you with the most innovative solution all the time. But you've got to keep your finger on the pulse and listening and talking to your member point of view and what your customer lens is. And that coupled with what we think is for the new opportunities and what's changing in the industry. What Lifetime and Brahm have always had the opportunity in the way that he's designed the layouts of the clubs, big open spaces, knowing that the trends in the fitness industry are gonna inevitably 6, 7, 10 years constantly evolve and change. And therefore our ability to continue to change those layouts based on different programming needs has been a massive competitive advantage for us.
Jeff, I know you have a lot on your plate, and I want to have a lot more questions. I have a lot more questions about Myra and other products you guys are launching.
Yeah.
And we probably will have to bring you back.
I love it.
On a sequence because there's so much more here, and I'm so appreciative of your contribution today. I want to ask you this: what makes most impact on your education?
Yeah.
What would you say that inspired you? Would you mind sharing some resources that people can follow? Maybe books, maybe seminars, maybe mentorship. What is the resource that you would recommend somebody to say, hey, if you want to follow the steps, here's a library, brother.
Yeah. Well, clearly I believe the key, is the balance, like I said, of staying humble and staying hungry. I mean, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you've got to be hungry and willing to do the work and consistent with it, as any great athlete like a Tom Brady will tell you, right? Is not always the most talented, but certainly the one that's willing to do the work. And a couple of our mantras has always been, do the right thing even when no one's watching.
Yes.
And that has always guided me from the influence from my mom, who's passed since, but the work ethic, the humility that she created in me. We've always said, no matter what, keep your feet firmly planted on the ground and continue to stay hungry. And, so this deep personal desire for me, I've done Leadville 100 mountain bike race, where you climb to 13,000 feet. I've learned through a crisis. I played collegiate football and almost quit in fall camp, but my mom encouraged me to stick it out and stay at it. Those inflection points, I would say to people, Andre, as you know, are the most difficult things you'll ever endure in your life, but they are truly the most impactful that propel you to the greatness and unlocking the things in life you never thought were possible. And unless you're willing to do those hard things, you're never going to achieve the greatness that you really want, because that defines us.
And we will never overcome objections and those problems unless you have to burning desire, and unless you are hungry. You have to want it to do it.
Yes.
And this resonates with everything I learned from my mentors. On one of the conferences, Tony Robbins came in and he said, difference between people who succeed and those who succeed and continue succeeding and taking next levels is one word: hunger.
Hunger. Yeah.
Because it's easy to settle in. You reach the success, you open location, you reach your level, and you feel like, okay, I should stop now. It's enough.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And the moment you feel my belly is full, you're out.
Yep. Same thing with me professionally. I'm 63. I've stepped down to redesign my next chapter in my life, in my career. But that hunger and that fire in the gut keep showing up wherever you're at in the journey. Lead from your heart. Keep making the boat go faster. And like my mom said to me years ago, you're strong. You've got this. Let's go. Don't quit. And it's simple, but get knocked down 10 times, get up 11, right? I mean, you must continue to, figure it out. And I think the great winners do that. And the great pioneers do that. Otherwise, they've never been able to be successful. So I just think this, for me, I'm on this quest now, as hopefully we can get another time together to talk about longevity and health span and anti-aging and performance, right? And so that's a new frontier that I'm just hungry as hell as a exercise physiologist that started in the career not knowing shit and having an opportunity to lead this, multi-billion-dollar enterprise. It's been humbling, and I'm just proud.
Guys, stay tuned because the next one is coming.
I can't wait.
And a big wave of conversation about longevity. Just to give you a heads up, Peter Diamandis put a conference together called Abundance 360. It's between 10 and 40,000 tickets to get in. Only 400 people, probably Fortune 500 executives are there.
Yeah.
And the whole day topic was about longevity. And the whole room thinks, like how long the new generations will going to live.
Yes.
And they said 120, 125. And that is transformation, not only in what's happening, but in belief, and that's everything starts from there. And support is built from it. I'm so looking for that conversation. And before we wrap up, Jeff, I got to ask you two really fast questions. One is, we want more people like yourself on this community to share the wisdom, knowledge, and inspiration for this community. Who are the people you would recommend to come in? Somebody maybe you know dearly, or somebody you don't know and you would love to learn from?
Yeah, clearly I've got to say Brahma Krati has been an amazing partner of mine for 25 years and owe a lot to him, right, in the industry and what he's been able to do and what we've been able to build. He's just been amazing for me. But there's just so many amazing, great leaders in this industry and outside of this industry, of course, as you drew so many phenomenal parallels. I just think, there's just so many great players. I'm listening to Shoe Dog right now, right, on the podcast with Phil Knight. There's just so many great resources. I listen regular to Ed Milet because I can relate to his drive, his passion, his hunger, his healthy paranoia that fuels, I think his success. Because those of us like me, I was a farm boy in Iowa that had nothing. And I am driven to make sure I don't ever have nothing again and that I create hopefully generational wealth for my family that, provides them differently than I was able to have. So I'm very blessed. I'm so thankful and appreciative to get to know folks like you, Andre, and I'm proud to be on your podcast. You've been an amazing host, and it's so tremendous to be in 4 decades in the industry and now meet new amazing professionals like yourself that, I've had my head in the sand for a very long time, dealing with the fires every day of lifetime. Every day I woke up at 5:30 in the morning to read our DSSR, our daily statistical sales report, which was the new members sold and the attrits, right? And it's just amazing to come out and reflect on this journey that we've all been through, and hopefully share that with your listeners so that they can learn, be inspired, and not make the same damn mistakes that I've made.
And as for everybody, this is inspiration. That's the reason. This is exactly conversation and the reason why I started a podcast. Because I have so many great conversations with people privately And I was like, oh my God, I learned a lot.
Yep.
I
Open
took
this
probably 11 pages of notes just out of this conversation here. And I'm writing a book. His book is going to be 101 Hacks How to Build a Local Empire, starting from local but making empire. And people like you will be co-authors with your content on it.
Okay.
Right? We want to make sure that this is really spoken, expressed, and available to the people.
Yeah.
Because
It's
now
the flywheel of life. The flywheel of life. Yeah. The flywheel of life is giving back. The flywheel of life. Yep.
And the last question before we wrap up, audience is now looking at you, at a lifetime, at what's going on. How can we direct them into best place to learn more about either what you're doing or what you're about to do?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so checking my profile out on LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me. You can go to jeffzwiefel.com as well to learn more about me. But I'm out there and engaging in conversations like this, enjoying in conversations and speaking and lecturing opportunities on longevity and what we do to change lives. Because it is truly a blessing when those things come together. You can make money and a career at the things you love to do, like changing people's lives. It's just amazing. So thank you for allowing me to be with you today, Andre. It's a blessing.
Jeff, on behalf of the whole community, appreciate you coming here and selflessly sharing your wisdom. And for you guys who are listening this, the way you say thank you to Jeff is by sharing these episodes. People, you're thinking about them who are struggling or who are making excuses, who have trouble. Maybe this will change their life. Maybe this will inspire them. Maybe this will change not only their lives, but the lives of the people they will touch. We are all here with one goal, to really amplify lifestyle of the people that we are touching and working with. And everything we do is pushing forward to that outcome. Jeff, you're an incredible soul.
Thank you.
We're so blessed to have you today.
Thank you, sir.
If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.